Hey, it looks like we're actually live. Good morning, YouTube. Hope everyone is well, or at least as well as can be. And forgive me just getting everything set up. Bada bing. There we go. There. So, we'll give it a minute, see if anybody cares to join us. Well, waiting, let me get my lovely breakfast of champions, which consists of various chemical substances that I cannot pronounce. Oh, did I not? I thought I could have sworn I got all the pill boxes filled. I thought I did, but I guess I did not. So I guess we'll have to do this the old-fashioned way. All right. So we got our, that's our sleepy time medicine. We don't need any of that right now. We do need a couple of these little doodads here. This is topramerite. I'm sure I'm butchering that name. Which is something that's supposed to fend off migraines. I will say that thus far it has been relatively successful in that since I've been taking it, I've only had one serious migraine, so yay team. This one here is pregabalin. I've been taking that for some time. Deals with neurological pain. Seems to help. And then this one here is another one I always have trouble pronouncing. It's tizanidine, which is another one I believe for neurological pain. So that's going to be my breakfast. Sorry, I meant to take that before I started. Oh, and I almost forgot. A little bit. Oops, that's my Tylenol. I don't need any Tylenol right now. I need, here we go, Centrum. Centrum, the big part of this chemically balanced breakfast. There we go. All right, man. I tell you, the older you get, the more pills you take. That's what I've learned. You know, when I was a kid, I used to laugh at how old people always have these pill containers, and now I've got pill containers. Yeah. Although I'll say this, at least pill containers have come a long way in the modern sense. So check this out. So I have this lovely case that opens up, and then each one has like a daily three-part container for my morning, afternoon, and evening pill slot. So very fancy. So yeah, there's that. So before I get started in my morning kind of rant that I'm going to go on in a minute, I also want to tell you guys, so look, I believe in being transparent and honest about things. And so, no lie, I am, as far as our situation, financially, we're hurting. Right? I know I mentioned this before. Our church paid our mortgage last month. Now, they can't do that every month, even though our church collects a decent amount of money. They're not, their job isn't to pay my mortgage personally. We need to do everything we can to take care of our own bills. And so I am going to do something of a fundraiser on this channel because basically all the medical bills have wiped us out. And besides the looming mortgage coming up in a couple of weeks here, we also still owe for my last surgery. So what I'm going to be doing is I have right here one of the things that I'm going to be auctioning off, if you will, is me consuming these horrible, horrible things. These are Carolina Reaper cheese balls. They look very horrible. 2.2 million Scoville units. And so I'm going to be doing a marathon live stream, and I haven't decided for sure on I'm thinking probably like $20 I'll eat a cheese ball, something like that. I've seen people eat these. They are horrifically scary. Of course, at one point or another, we will be doing the little nitro that I got from Darren Wagner. And I also have a chocolate bar called Satan's Pleasure, which has not been shipped yet, but will be shipped out on Monday. I actually talked to the owner of the company that produces it. Really nice guy. And that will be on its way on Monday. So I'm hoping that by the end of this coming week, we'll be doing the live stream. Now, I've also been talking kind of behind the scenes to LDG Pixels about him, at least during part of the time of this marathon live stream. He'll be joining me as well and partaking in some of these things along with me to add to the fun. And when he does, we'll bump up the price a little bit, but then he'll get, we'll split the proceeds for those parts of the live stream because, fair is fair. He'll be suffering right along with me, and he needs money too. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be fun. It'll be painful. And, so basically to pay for my hospital bills, you can send me right back to the hospital. That's the plan. And I'll probably do, so sci-fi, it'll probably be something like, $30. Well, oh, you mean like in the regular thing? Like, so I'll probably do something like, $20 for popping one cheese ball, maybe 30 for two. And then when LDG comes on, we'll probably do like 30 for each of us to have one. And then we'll split the proceeds, something like that. But I have to, the problem is I can't just like, I'll just pop a bunch of them because I do need to make the money to pay the mortgage. That's the idea. And not to mention pay off the debt that we owe to the doctors for the surgery, and hey, I'm not denying the gallbladder surgery was necessary and all that. And unfortunately, while I do believe that our healthcare system should be revamped, I don't believe in healthcare for profit fundamentally. Call me a liberal all you want. I'm not, but that's just one of those things that I disagree with the Republicans about. But it doesn't matter. Right now, the way that our system is, you got to pay for it in the United States, and I'm not, that's just how it goes. Anyway, so let me read the chat real quick, and then I'm going to rant for just a minute. So Trust, who was first in the house, says, "Good morning, sir. Hope your day's off to a good start. Hanging in there, my friend. I've actually been up for, well over an hour. I haven't been able to sleep." Valor says, "Good morning. Feeling better, I hope. I'm alive, and I apologize in advance for the noise, but I need the air conditioner on if I can get the stupid thing on. It's a little steamy in here today." Moxley says, "Good morning, Ed Trekker, and everybody. How you doing, Moxley?" Sci-Fi Nation says, "Good morning. Better Thab the old box style with compartments and one. Better than the old box style with compartments, one huge. Which is kind of what Mrs. Ed Trekker has. I like this a lot better. Easier for me to keep organized. And Sci-Fi Nation thinking the price seemed reasonable, and so it seems like a great idea. Won't be able to participate till after the first, unfortunately. Yeah, I understand. It's like I don't expect everybody to be able to shove hundreds of dollars in there, but I'm going to try to squeeze everybody for every dime I can because I'm just evil like that. But hey. All right, so let me talk for just a second. As you see the, and I don't know if I misspelt anything in the title because I'm just too tired to tell. But I want to talk about tribalism for a second because it's been heavy on my mind the last couple of days. And I'll tell you why. Is that when tribalism, simply put, is basically just the idea that we think that we are in some way better than they are. And that's pretty much it. We're us versus them. That there is a group that we are a part of and a group that we are not a part of. And there's some factualness to tribalism. And hey, Aberdam, good to see you. There's always, because there are groups that we are a part of and groups that we are not a part of. But when tribalism becomes primary to us, it becomes very problematic, especially when we start thinking that we are better than those people because of the tribe that we are in, or that they are worse than us because of the tribe that they're in. Now, case in point, I consider myself very fortunate that I happen to be born in, raised in, and live in the United States of America. And my apologies to my friends, and I do have friends all around the world, especially since I've been on YouTube. And my apologies to my friends in the UK, my friends in Canada, my friends in various other countries. But I think we got it pretty good here in the United States. And I think we've had it pretty good here in the United States for quite some time. But that doesn't mean we're any better than anybody else. It just means that I think we've been pretty lucky. I think that we've lived in a fairly luxurious lifestyle, and a lot of people don't understand just how luxurious our lifestyle has been, especially a lot of people that think that the United States ain't all that is because they haven't been here for any period of time. And Dapper Jam, I love that. Yeah, glad I'm not tribalistic like those stupid Democrats. That is a perfect example of modern tribalistic thought. So the problem is that a lot of Americans start to think of themselves as somehow better than everybody else because we've lived in relative luxury compared to everybody else, or that we've been more economically fortunate than most of the rest of the world. And, and even like as American Christians, we've thought that God has blessed America so much because of his personal favoritism towards the United States. And his personal favoritism towards the United States is because we're just better than everybody else. And, I'm sorry, but that is insanely dangerous thinking. And, and the problem is that, and especially if you read the freaking Bible instead of just listening to sound bites from your favorite pastors, you'll understand what little things like, verses that say things that we like to hear in certain contexts but don't like to hear in the proper context. Verses like, to those who much has been given, much will be required. It's not talking about, those horrible rich guys up on the hill. It's talking about you. It's talking about the people, you and me, those of us that have the ability to, that have the ability to reach out to the world, that have the ability to help our neighbor, that have the ability to make a difference. Those of us that have that ability are required to do so. Those of us, little phone alarm going off. Those of us that are not ignorant of the gospel, that are believers, and I'm talking to all you believers out there. I'm not, you atheists in the chat, this isn't for you right now. But if you're a believer, You understand what the gospel says, and you choose to ignore it and not help your neighbor. You choose to ignore it and not talk to that non-believer that's in your family, or that non-believer that's your friend. You choose to ignore it and just let that person go to hell. That's on you. And you need to be very, very careful. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't mean you're going to like suddenly lose your salvation and go to hell yourself. And that's something that I think that a lot of people get confused about. But you will be judged on that. And I don't know exactly how you're going to be judged on that. I don't know exactly what will happen based on that judgment. But I'm pretty confident that I would prefer not to have that judgment bestowed upon me. But we tend to, as Christians, just kick back with our little tribalistic thought and say, well, I'm a Christian, therefore I'm better than the non-believer. No, you're not. You're really not. Because you know what? That non-believer that you're looking down on, that non-believer that you're ignoring, they're a reflection of God just like you are. And you know what? When you hear those stories in the Bible, when Christ himself said that the way you treated the least of these is how you treated me, when he was talking about the way you treated that homeless guy that you just ignored and walked past, the way you treated that random guy in prison that you refused to visit and help, the way that you treated the orphans, the way that you treated the widows, the way that you treated the garbage of society is the way that you treat Jesus himself, according to Jesus himself. And I, for one, do not want to be counted as someone who's treating Jesus Christ like garbage. Meanwhile, you got some atheist out there who's genuinely trying to help the homeless, who's genuinely trying to help people getting out of prison to make a good life for themselves, who's genuinely trying to make a positive difference in the world. And we're sitting back going, no, we're better than atheists just because we believe in God. Wrong answer. So don't let tribalism get in the way. And hey, Andre from Bosnia, how you doing? You didn't say, well, you're saying hi from Bosnia. You threw me off. But good to see you, Andre. And Abraham says, God only ever favored one nation, Israel, and if history has taught us anything, it's that God's favor certainly doesn't make life easy. That is very true, because Israel has had a rough go of it. God's favor, and in fact, Jesus himself said, in this life there will be trouble. He never said that being in God's good graces is it may be a get out of hell free card, but it certainly isn't a get out of trouble free card. And our job is not to have easy lives. Our job is to have productive lives. Our job is to show fruit of the Spirit, and we're not doing it. And Andre says, how are you? Wish you good health, and lots of smiley faces. Well, I'm hanging in there as best I can, Andre. My health, I don't know yet. That's the problem. And I'm going into the doctor bright and early Tuesday morning, where they're going to do an ultrasound on my heart. They're trying to figure out various things about what's wrong with me. We'll see. We will see. But it's been one of them battles, and yeah, just sucks. That's all I can say. And looks like the daily sex is becoming a pandemic. Not sure why you're saying that, Aberjam. Really, you got me confused on that one, buddy. Anyway, and I'll tell you, one of the things that really got me, and I don't know if you guys remember a celebrity, and I use the term very, very, very lightly, named Tila Tequila. She was all over MTV for a while, and her main claim to fame was that she was all over MTV for a while. I mean, she was really... she made the Kardashians look classy. And Tila Tequila apparently decided that now she's... I know Andre's full name has dyslexia in it. You know, but I can never read because that's that last name I can never read, so I just say the first name. But yes, he is a fellow sufferer. Anyway, so Tila Tequila, celebrity. Basically, her only talents is that she was physically attractive and kind of a slut on MTV. And so she apparently has become a Christian, right? And so, yay, she's a Christian now. And then she starts a YouTube channel. And of course, since she starts a YouTube channel and she's a former slutty celebrity, she of course immediately gets a couple 100,000 subscribers. And so she's very popular here on YouTube. And so she puts out her Christian content. And her Christian content is just straight up evil, harsh, through the roof, over the top racism. And look, I didn't pay much attention to her when she was just a stupid, when she was just a stupid celebrity just being slutty. But dang. I mean, she basically does most of, entire, let's see. And you're trying to, Jovendick. I don't know. Is that, you're putting all these smiley faces like Jovendick is hilarious, but I don't know if that's funny. I don't know. I just says Andrej Jovendick art and dyslexia. Racist in what way? So, she says that black people are evil, that specifically black women are evil and punished by God, and that's why they have problems with balding hair. And by the way, it is true that black women have problems with, there's a genetic disorder called alopecia, which Jovendich. I did not know how to pronounce that. Thank you, Averjam, but I will probably forget that within 5 minutes. And yes, Ensign Ricky, I am a little on the early side today. Anyway, so basically, black women are evil as evidenced by their balding hair, and that's a punishment from God. And then she reads some scripture completely out of context about women of Zion being punished by God by having their hair removed. And, you know, and then she has video after video about how horrible black people are. And I don't understand what her problem with black people is. And Mako, and I don't know why the YouTube algorithm decided to block that, but yeah, apparently all bald people are evil. Jovendich, I'm not going to remember that. But the so she is. It's straight up hate speech. And yet YouTube seems fine with it. And and this is where I was like really kind of torn on this, because I'm sitting there thinking, why is it that, for a long time, and those of you that have been subscribed to my channel for more than a couple of years know about this probably, but for a while, my channel was being actively censored by Google and flagged as hate speech, to where every video I'd put out would get would get shut, would basically get flagged, and I would have to request a manual review just to get the video posted. And it was absolutely stupid. Even though my videos didn't have any hateful content in them. And so, but then she puts out video that is straight up hate speech, that is clearly violations of the terms of service. She has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they leave it up. And you can't tell me that nobody's flagging these videos. Heck, I flagged the videos. And Yosef is here from the future. Good to see you, my friend. Aberjam says, what if only your butt is hairless? Does that mean you have an evil butt? Well, apparently, according to her, I would say yes. Most likely. So, and Sci-Fi Nation says it's all about the dollars she makes them. You see, the problem is I don't buy that, because she's. I think that because if that were the case, YouTube would not have removed certain high-profile conservative commentators, who I'm not going to name here because I don't want to get in trouble. But so if it was strictly and besides that, if YouTube was strictly a purely capitalism, money-driven company, like they should be, to be honest, then they wouldn't care what any of the content was, as long as it wasn't illegal. And so, as long as you're not teaching people how to make bombs or something, then they shouldn't care. You can preach hate speech all day long, but people get taken down all the time, because they should want as much. They should want every type of person, including hate groups, to go to their website so that they can get the absolute maximum amount. And I'm sorry, my hair is all messed up, but the absolute max amount of web traffic, right? So it doesn't make sense that, well, this channel is big, so we'll allow it. This channel is small, so we won't. There's no logic in that. And as far as YouTube censoring the little guy, but not the big guy. There's the alarm, time to get up. There's no logic in it from a web hosting point of view. The only argument you could make is if YouTube was actually running out of server space for all these videos, but obviously I don't think that's a problem. And if it was a problem, they would just make people pay for web space. I think, honestly, and I hate to sound like a conspiracy theory nut job, but my thought is that it's just that they like the fact that she perpetuates the notion that that's what Christianity is all about. That Christianity is just about hate. And that they're perfectly okay with people believing that that is the picture of Christian thought. Professor Brainspec says you're starting earlier and earlier. I just couldn't sleep this morning, Professor. Nothing more than that. I apologize if it was too early for you today. You want me to just go away? I'll go away. Jerk. And Robert says, years ago I had a copy of the Anarchist Cookbook. I don't know anything about the Anarchist Cookbook. And Aberjam says, we need massive reform and enforcement of 230. I don't know what that is. Big tech needs to be compelled to show all legal speech and be liable for all speech on their platform if they don't. I tend to agree. I do think, and by the way, and Random Menace throws in a couple of euros and says, have some hate speech. First contact is awesome. Thank you. You jerk. I was thinking I'm going to have to do a pure, like a hate-fueled review of First Contact just to get all that out of my system. Professor Brainspec says, not asking you to go away, just commenting. I need to check earlier. That's all right, Professor. I'm just kidding. Death by Rabies, First Contact is awesome. Yeah, because everybody knows how much I hate First Contact. But yeah, back to what Aberjam said. I tend to agree. I think the the big tech companies like Google and Google is really, when we talk about big tech, it boils down to mostly Google, but we should be talking about Instagram and Twitter and Twitch. Anybody that's doing, that's hosting, social media type stuff. They have two choices. They should either allow all content and only censor what is illegal. And that means, by the way, as far as censoring, their algorithms need to be unbiased. Their monetization needs to be unbiased. So anybody that meets, if their threshold needs to be not content related, if they want to have, if they have monetization, their monetization is numbers based, not content based, and their algorithm is not based on their opinions of things. It's simply based on search terms, blah blah blah, and so it needs to be completely unbiased and transparent so that the government can follow and check and make sure. And so they need to allow 100% of content. They need to have unbiased algorithms, period. Or they can choose to censor whatever they want. However, if they do, they are 100% liable for all content on their platform. Which means that if I say something that is untrue, then you can't go after me, you got to go after Google, and Google is 100% liable for it. So, and Professor Brainspec says, I would rather contact first than have first contact. Well, okay. Aberjam says, Section 230 allows for social media platforms immunity from liability for any speech on their platforms. Also allows some tax breaks that publishers are not permitted. Yeah. After you said the rest, I vaguely remember that. And yeah, I don't believe that they should have any. Honestly, at this point, why does Google or Facebook or any of these guys, why should they get any kind of special immunity for anything? These companies have billions of dollars. They're fine. They should not get any special immunity for anything. They are either platforms or publishers. They're not both. And so, yeah, I think they need to make their choice. Trump has launched a lawsuit against these big tech platforms. Yeah, Trump has done a lot of things that are not going to go anywhere. Sorry, I'm done with Trump. Okay, Trump is not the president of the United States anymore. I'm kind of done with him. Big tech, and please don't tell me Trump's going to be president again in a couple of weeks. Okay. Big tech has been acting like a publisher and not a service. As soon as you start criticizing, you should be liable. I agree. Professor Brainspec says, it's way earlier. Cut my sleepy brain a break. Oh, it's all good, Professor. You are forgiven. But I don't know what for. Because you didn't do anything wrong. Just looked up at some of just looked at some of Tila Tequila's stuff. F the thought. F the thought. I'm not sure what F the thought means. Death by rabies. Kathleen Kennedy for president 2024. Aberjam, I don't think that Kathleen Kennedy... well, she could run as a Democrat, I suppose. She's got the I'm a feminist credentials down. So sure. Kathleen could run as a Democrat. Problem is that in 2024 she'll be running against the incumbent. I think what he meant is F that thought. Oh, okay. All bald people are evil. Good to know. Need to go find a puppy to kick. Well, actually, no, not all. Only bald women. I was making a little joke. Extremely little, Ensign. Yes. I get. Hey, I actually got that reference, Professor. Extremely little. So it was from, Life with Matthew's Secret Love. So, by the way, for anybody that was there on Friday, what did you think of movie night with Matthew this last Friday, featuring Dr. Alex and Berta Prey and Matthew in Hell? Just curious what everybody thought of that. So for next movie night with Matthew, there's a couple of movies I'm thinking about. Death by Rabies says, was okay, LOL on the going to hell. The movie we watched was 2012. The Roland Emmerich epic disaster film. Which, by the way, was funny because, boy, that movie just broke Matthew. That was honestly my favorite thing about it was that, boy, Matthew just absolutely for those of you in Europe, I'm so sorry that you can't see it. I was actually thinking, and for you Europeans, I think you would appreciate, I would love to re-watch 2012 with Matthew, but then also with Dr. Alex. Since Dr. Alex is an actual scientist, and it would be great to get a couple other subject matter experts in there to talk about some of the... because 2012 actually has the distinction of having NASA weigh in and saying that it's scientifically the worst movie ever made. And Yosef says, Mirror Universe to baldly go. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, Tia Tequila says bald women are evil. Aberjan says the visual effects are very good in that movie. Generally not a fan of disaster movies, but I thought it was okay. I like San Andreas better. Well, the funny thing is, well, you're right. The visual effects are really good, but the science behind that movie is so laughably bad. It's hilarious because they get into like every major field of science there is. I mean, right off the bat at the beginning, they have mutating neutrinos, and it just gets better from there. And Malfi says, I think Sharks of the Corn might be a good pick for me. I've never heard of Sharks of the Corn. Is that a real movie? Bird of Prey 5 is bald. What does that mean? Well, we know Bird of Prey 5 is evil, though. Is Sharks of the Corn for real? Wow, it's a movie from this year? I have never heard of that. Let's look at the trailer here. Man, I am so sick of this stupid trailer for Gossip Girl. Yeah, I get it. You have guys kissing, so you're edgy. Yeah, Sharks of the Corn. I'm looking at the trailer here. Wow, it's very low budget. It's like really low budget. Like, this is so low budget that, I mean, like, if I could make this movie.
It's all for
So what in the name of Randy Travis is going on around here?
So there's a trust issue.
So, do you happen to believe in Bigfoot too?
Wow. Yeah, that's a real thing. Sharks of the Corn. Looks like you can see it on Amazon. That's different. And yeah, San Andreas as a movie is a silly film, but a fun one with The Rock. The Rock is like a rescue helicopter pilot. I don't know what's with The Rock and flying helicopters, but because he does that in Rampage as well. But yeah, and the San Andreas Fault goes, and basically San Francisco gets flooded in a ridiculous manner. And I mean, yeah, it's kind of stupid. But I mean, I enjoyed the as far as like San Andreas, I enjoyed bits and pieces of it. I just think that it was kind of stupid that because I grew up in the Bay Area, so seeing San Francisco underwater makes no sense when you realize that most of San Francisco is on hills. Let's see. Do mutant neutrinos develop superpowers? No, but they do heat up the Earth's core. And by the way, they melt the Earth's core. Think about that for a minute. So yeah, they do Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Oh no. Well, first of all, Matthew's already seen it, And you have to realize that I don't do movies that Matthew has seen. Dungeons and Dragons, more ham than a truckload of pigs. I think Matthew's seen Dungeons and Dragons too. Don't worry, we do have a few movies that he has not seen in the list. And let's see. And let's see. I think for movie night, you should do Dark Star, the original screenplay for Alien. Actually, we did do. I would say, at Average Jam, I don't know if you've seen it, but we did do a movie that obviously had a lot. Alien drew a lot of inspiration from, called It, the Terror from Beyond Space. The Day After TV movie from the 80s, probably the best disaster movie there is, since it was dealing with global nuclear war. I don't know if I would say it's the best disaster movie there is. I thought it was good, but yeah. Let's get back to tribalism specific. Well, we kind of free flow it around here. I'm sorry. I know that we kind of got off topic there. I blame all of you, because it's not my fault, because I'm better than you. The Core would be a good Friday night movie. Well, put that stuff in the suggestion box. But remember, I do look for where's a legit source for it as well. Hey, Bird. And Bird says, my tribe is right. Well, the Kuroga Turdistan thing. The Kurogans think they're better than everybody, even though clearly they're not. But that is a genuine problem. And Malfi says, I'm pretty sure the neutrinos thing, that in and of itself, me and Matthew were laughing at the beginning, but by the end of the movie, Matthew was crying in his vodka. But yeah, with the problem with tribalism is that we're all so obsessed with thinking that we're better than everybody else that we end up destroying each other in the name of because we that superiority complex becomes hatred. And now Professor Brainspec says, I don't want to go. Okay, now you're being Peter Parker. I think. You're either Peter Parker or I can never remember the right number. Is it the 11th Doctor? No. 10th Doctor. I always get my doctor numbers mixed up. If tribalism is bad, why didn't you swear allegiance to Kuroga when you first heard of it instead of creating Kurdistan? Yeah. I think you kind of answered that question right there in your question. You were being the doctor. Okay. Anyway, the tribalism is bad, Bird, and because it ends up, it's ultimately almost always destructive. And I agree with that last statement, Ensign Ricky, and it's kind of ironic because it's at the core of the problem. Our country's greatest, in the United States, our country's greatest strength is our diversity, and our country's biggest weakness is our diversity. Because if we look at it, the diversity in our country allows us to see things from different perspectives, to work together from different angles to try and come up with a solution to any problem. However, because of that same diversity, we have an inherent set of tribalism within our country. And so even within this one country, we end up with things like, Black Lives Matter and other groups that try to divide us into different segments, and we end up, hating on each other rather than trying to work together to solve problems. And so, and we're constantly doing that. We are constantly doing that. We're always trying to divide each other on racial lines, on ideological lines, on religious lines, and trying to basically, I mean, heck, look at the Phantom Menace and other fan bases. It used to be just like Star Trek versus Star Wars, right? Oh, you like Star Trek better, you're stupid. And now it's, oh, you like The Last Jedi, you're stupid. Oh, you like Star Trek Discovery, you're stupid. And so it's even within trivial things. Dark Star is directed by John Carpenter. I did not know that. And Professor Brainspecs is listening to 2 streams at the same time. That's got to hurt. Tribalism causes echo chambers so that people don't get... Well, and what echo chambers do, Sci-Fi Nation, is radicalize people. And that's what we've seen, honestly. And again, not to pick on my favorite group to pick on, but that's what we've seen with the Phantom Menace, is radicalization. Is we start out because we're angry about an injustice. And it usually, most of the time, it's usually quite reasonable. We're upset because of something that we perceive as a wrong. But if we separate ourselves from the main, because now we're going to create our own little tribe that's dedicated to fighting this one injustice, now we become advocates against this injustice. And it doesn't matter what the injustice is, whether it's, the politicization of our favorite nerdy franchises, or you're advocating for, some political goal. It doesn't matter, because it all ends up doing the same thing. And we've seen it over and over and over, and yet people ignore it, even though we've seen it 1,000 times over. So you branch off and you create your little group. People people for the advancement of X, or people against the oppression of X, or whatever it is. And so then you get your little group of people, and you're constantly saying the same thing over and over and over, and the rhetoric gets a little bit stronger, and a little bit stronger, and a little bit stronger, and a little bit stronger. And to you in the group, it just seems like, oh yeah, it's a little stronger than it was before. No big deal, just a little stronger. Nothing major. But after a while, it becomes pure, unadulterated hate. It's just that since it was a gradual process within that bubble, you don't see it that way. And so people within the core of the Phantom Menace, they don't think they're any different than they were a couple of years ago, even though what they're spewing now is out and out sexism. They don't see it that way. They don't understand that every single time a movie has a female in it, they're screaming woke, 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 and they don't see a problem with that. They think it's the same thing as it was back when, Last Jedi first came out, and we were all upset about the fact that it was an obviously agenda-driven film. And so the echo chamber part of tribalism causes this radicalization, which is just absolutely deadly, and that's what causes these these groups that evolve into hate groups. And I agree, Average Ham. I do not think America's biggest weakness is arrogance. I do think it's diversity. And thank you so much. Indie Tiger throws in $10 and says, I'm a member of the People for Ethical Treatment of Plants and Vegetables. That's right. I'm a pet peeve. Well, I too am, I'm a pet peeve as well. I haven't heard that one before, but I do like it I do believe in that we should stop the brutality against plants. It is absolutely wrong that we're I mean, think about this. And I mean, we talk about, the way that animals are treated, but at least we have the kindness and compassion to kill animals before we eat them. But plants, oh no. We will not only will rip plants out of their home, we'll spray them down with just enough water to keep them alive as we put them on display, and then you'll skin them alive sometimes and just eat them while they're still alive, crunching them down. Absolutely insane. Anyway, and Mako says, I'm a bit puzzled. The Phantom Menace lives in the U.S., but is surprised by black people in movies. Don't they see black people and women? I don't know. I don't know. It's like when I watched Black Widow, the movie, I thought it was a fun movie. And, here's the problem. I think that, like, some of the critics, and this cuts both ways, because there are agenda-driven critics on both sides of the political aisle. And some of these liberal SJW-type critics are saying, oh, it's just so great to have this movie with all these women in it. And it's like, you know what? The fact that there are a lot of women in it is really derivative of the fact that the central part of this plot is about the Red Room, and the Red Room happens to be where they train these women to be Black Widows, right? That's the whole point. And so it's a natural, organic part of the story. To me, it's not like it didn't feel like they sat down and said, how can we write a story with lots of women? It was like, well, if we're going to write a story about the Red Room, we need a lot of women here. So I don't like it on either side. I just want a good story. I don't give a crap, about the number of male to female ratio or the number of black to white people in the story. Like, when I watch Black Panther, I don't say, oh, it's just so great that they have so many black people in a movie. I'm like, of course there's a bunch of black people in this movie. It's set in freaking Africa, right? So yeah, it makes sense. So isn't Magneto in Brotherhood a good example of tribalism? Oh, yeah. Magneto is a great example of tribalism gone bad, because he believes that, in fact, but, it's funny because in the comic books, mutants are referred to as Homo superior. So they actually are better, according to geneticists. So, yeah. And Professor Brainy Specs says chat is ignoring. Oh, you know what? I'm on top chat. Let me fix that. If I've been missing you, that might be why. Let's see. Vegetable rights. Indeed, we need to fight for vegetable rights. Imagine what we do to trees. Oh, yeah, we just walk into their home, kill them, right in front of their family. Aberdam says, watch Black Widow, didn't think it was woke. There was one major gender swap that was clearly for diversity's sake. Actually, I don't think the gender swap that you're talking about, I'm assuming you're talking about the person whose initials are TM. And if that's, honestly, it served the story. So I was okay with it. That's all I'll say about it for right now. I'm going to do a full review of it with Deej on Wednesday night. The best movies that have a lot of women are lesbian porn. Oh, stop, Lord. Professor Brady Specs says, Trigger, not you. You aren't ignoring me. The chat was. I'm sorry, Professor. But I wanted to make sure. I did have it on top chat, but I changed it. And Bird says, the Phantom Menace is very international. One thing they complained about was Disney shrinking, then removing John Boyega from Star Wars artwork in China. Race isn't an issue unless it's used as one. Well, you know, it's funny because with the back when The Force Awakens came out, that was actually something I defended as a member of the Phantom Menace. Was the John Boyega thing when people were because remember when they first showed the trailer of The Force Awakens, many in the proto Phantom Menace days were upset that John Boyega was a stormtrooper, and they're like, how can you have a black stormtrooper? And my response was, because it's not this guy. And I can never remember the actor's name, but the guy that played the clones. And I said, because, you know, that's who we were expecting, who, by the way, not a white guy, you know? But you know what? The problem is that it's, the Phantom Menace today has turned into, and it's kind of funny because now we've turned woke into, the Phantom Menace, I should say, has turned woke into a synonym for female, which is not what woke means, never was, but that's what they think it means. And so, whatever, they want to be ignorant, they can be ignorant all they want. And so they see a woman on screen and they scream woke. Whatever. Can we just acknowledge that the term Red Room may not be the best title of an all-female group? Well, I didn't make it up. All this tribal division is taking away the middle ground. We need the middle ground to talk to each other. Well, and that's the problem, Trustin, and that's where the tribalism gets in the way. When we create these artificial lines of us versus them, when you are either one of us or you are an enemy of us, and that's why I stepped back from the Phantom Menace, to be honest with you, because it became where when I realized that I could no longer be a part of this group was because I didn't hate Captain Marvel the film. I've talked about this before. I didn't think it was great, obviously, but I didn't hate it. I gave it a 6 out of 10. And on my grading scale, I've said this many times, a 5 out of 10 means that if my choice is watch paint dry, watch this movie, it's a coin toss. That's a 5 out of 10 to me. 6 out of 10 means watch this film, watch paint dry. All right, I'll watch the movie. I'm not going to enthusiastically watch the movie, but it's better than paint drying. You know, that's not an enthusiastic endorsement of the film. So that's what I gave Captain Marvel, is a 6. I'm just saying it's not painful to watch. I just didn't love it. And in fact, and I said in my review that I thought Brie Larson was, you know, unfortunately, the worst part of the movie, which was a big problem. So I got all sorts of hate from the Phantom Menace. I got death threats on Twitter, and I got I absolutely was blown away by the level of hate that I got. The next time that I appeared on Nerdrotic's show, the second I appeared on the show, my Twitter lit up with all sorts of messages saying how what a horrible person I was, and Gary's chat just blew up with what a traitor I was and all that. You'd think that I was sitting there saying that, you know, Admiral Holdo should be the main character of the Star Wars franchise or something. And at that point, I realized, yeah, it's you're either 100% on board with everything that we say, or you're our enemy. And at that point, I was like, okay, this has gone too far. I'm done. And I've always said on my channel that I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to give my honest opinion on things. And at some point, you're going to dislike what I say. I don't care. But at that point, you know what? I tore up my Phantom Menace card. And my apologies to my friends that are in the Phantom Menace. I've gotten some down low messages from friends that are in the Phantom Menace that say, hey, sorry about what happened, but can't talk to you about this. I'm like, whatever. If you know what, if that's the game that you guys are going to play your games, have fun. I'm not playing that game. And so, whatever. Keep your 100,000 subs. Keep getting your money. Sell your soul. Anyway. But we do need a middle ground. We need the ability to rationally talk about this stuff and to send death threats over opinion on a freaking superhero movie. That's stupid. I think it would have served the story without the gender swap. It was completely superfluous. I disagree, but I think you could have done it without the gender swap, but I don't think the gender swap was completely superfluous. If I'm understanding your term correctly. Which, just to be sure, I'm copying it and pasting it into Google because, I don't trust my own understanding of the term. Completely unnecessary. Especially through being more than enough. I don't think it was completely unnecessary because I think that it did serve the story. And I can't explain why without giving spoilers. So, kind of trapped in a corner there. Indie Tiger talking, Antrekker and Tresson, we need a middle ground to speak out against both sides. I agree. And I think we need to be able to argue without being dicks. And just because we disagree on something, and we can even, we can even passionately disagree without hating each other. Look, me and Bird of Prey 5 have had some serious arguments about stuff. That doesn't mean we hate each other. Heck, you guys saw the fun little thing that me and Bird did with Life with Matthew on Friday night, right? Me and Bird love each other. We're good friends. And we make fun of each other all the time, and we've had some very serious arguments about stuff. I've had some serious arguments with Ensign Ricky. I've had some serious arguments with lots of you guys. That doesn't mean I hate you. And we need to, and that's the, something that I want people to understand, that we can argue without being jerks. We can argue even passionately without hating each other. And it's okay for us to disagree. And in fact, it's important that we be able to disagree. But if we want to sit there and say, if you disagree with me, you're a bad person, no, it's over. I keep forgetting to ask you for a link to you and Mrs. Antrekker. Have the two of you had a stream yet? Not yet. We tried to record a video, and I screwed up the audio on it. And so I'm working on getting it set up so that we can get that. I have another chair. It's actually right here for Mrs. Antrekker to sit at when we record our videos together. But I need to set up another microphone for her. And let me get that channel for you. I will tell you that we're going to talk about things that to some of you may be uncomfortable. And we will ask people to be respectful, because we're not here to have debates and all that crap. Let me see, there it is. Copy that. So I'm putting the channel in there right now. Valor says, Taskmaster is male, made female. Why is he not major evil guy? Wouldn't that be like taking Kirk and making him a woman? Valor, I will talk about Taskmaster on Wednesday. We're not getting into that right now, especially not any spoilers. And Ensign Ricky says, wokeism has destroyed innovation. To be honest, well, first of all, no, it hasn't. Wokeism is There's no such thing as woke in freaking movies. Get that. Sorry, it's not your fault, Ensign Ricky, but freaking get woke out of your vocabulary when it comes to movies. It does not exist. You're not using. I don't know. Do I have it? Hold on. Does I have that set up right? No. Dang it. I have to be on this one, don't I? Let me try.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah. Sorry. Stop using the word woke. All right. Yeah, what's that? Professor Brainspec says, if you want people to be respectful on that channel, then you can't have Matthew or Bird. Well, that kind of goes without saying, of course. A character's service to the story was based on their relationship with another person. The gender of both these people involved had no bearing of that story arc. Actually, it did. And I think you know why. Just like I don't really care about the Beatles all that much, I prefer The Who myself. Not sure what you're talking about there. Professor Brainy Specs. Oh my goodness, you need to stop being woke. Shut up! Stop saying woke. Dakuvma. Okay. Aberdan says language is organic. It changes. The use of woke is changing like it. No, here's the problem. And this is the stupid thing about it, Aberjam, is that there is a specific group of people that came up with the term woke and what they use it for. And then another group of people, completely unrelated to that group, started using, and I'm talking about the Phantom Menace here, started using the term completely incorrectly and are still using it incorrectly. Just because they're using the term wrong doesn't mean that's what the word means now. Sorry. It's just like when idiots say, oh, I literally died last night. Doesn't mean that literally now means figuratively. All right? I'm sorry. Literally doesn't mean figuratively, no matter how many times stupid people use it that way. So, anyway, woke does not mean putting something feminine into a movie at all. And I really have no idea why Ensign Ricky was putting Takuvma into the chat. Takuvma! Taylor's Karnatakov! Kalish! And he also says, I literally typed this message. That is the correct use of literally. And Sci-Fi Nation says, are they stupid or just misinformed? Genuinely curious. I don't know. I mean, as far as, when you talk about stupid people that say literally when they mean figuratively, I don't know. If you're talking about the Phantom Menace using woke for everything, I don't know. And Orville Nation says, please, thank you for the $2, PJ. It says, check your DMs today. All right, I'm going there right now, just because you made it sound so urgent, and I heard my little alert going off. Let's see. And oh yeah, so I know the person. I need to talk to you about that, PJ. So I don't know what your schedule is like, but I would want to talk to you about that a little bit off the record, so that if you and I can arrange a Skype call so we can chat about that.
Okay. Sure. I'll let you know. 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 I'll let you
I'm very curious. I saw not all of, but some of your conversation with that person, and so, well, if we can, let's talk later today. Let's see, where was I? So should I be perfectly fine to spout words like the F word? That, well, you know what? If you're talking about the word that you people in your country use for cigarette, I don't know if that's socially acceptable still over there. You know? I don't know what's acceptable over there right now. You guys got weird words for things because you're weirdos. You got nice accents, but you got weird words. Sorry. What was that about tacos with Taylor? Taco Bell, Tecate, Chalupa, Kailish. Okay, then this gender politics is a better phrase for use for ruining innovation. I put Takuba in because Yosef was talking about clean orcs again. Well, you know, it's like we were talking about this on Dr. Alex's channel a few days ago. We're basically identity politics. I don't think it's limited to gender. I think gender is the big thing. It's the flavor of the month right now. But I just say identity politics because it bleeds over into racial identity, sexual identity, and gender, because now they want to say sex and gender are two different things, whatever. Idiots are idiots. But, and of course, religious identity can be part of that too. So I would say just identity politics in general are becoming a big deal. Trusted says, with Star Wars A New Hope going by the first ads, I thought, with Star Wars A New Hope going by the first ads, I thought Finn was the main character. Stormtrooper had a change of heart. Would have made a great story. Well, first of all, it's called Star Wars Force Awakens. A New Hope was the rebranded title of the original Star Wars. But yeah, that's what I thought too, and I thought that would have been a cool story. And speak of the devil, there's Dr. Alex says, are you discussing the land of the language you speak? I'm trying to learn how to speak with your accent, Dr. Alex. But good to see you, my friend. By the way, so everybody tell Dr. Alex, everybody that saw it should tell Dr. Alex what they thought of his hypnotic effect on Life with Matthew. Of course, Dr. Alex has no idea what he actually did to Matthew, but he just read the script that I sent him. Hello, Professor Brady Specs. The Witcher TV series was all about race swapping for political reasons. The entire region was white for a reason, like the area Black Panther came from was all black. Well, Valor, I had never played the game The Witcher, so I don't know anything about that. I watched the series and I thought, it's okay. I mean, that's honestly all I could think was, it's okay. I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad. Dr. Alex says, true. I'm still waiting for you, the video for you could cut out the good bit from your live stream, Anti-Tracker. And Aberjam says, you just skipped about a dozen comments. Well, I didn't see anything with my name in them. You got to put my name in it if you want me to read it. And Indie Tiger says it's like the Brits don't even know how to speak English. They don't. Obviously. Can you imagine what would have happened if they turned the black characters white and the blackish would, the backlash would be so quick? Well, in fairness, Valor, and this is because here's the problem with all that, and I hate when people say stuff like this, because people have been doing that for decades. In fact, there's a term for it. It's called whitewashing. Hollywood has been doing it for a very long time. And it's nothing new, and it hasn't gone away. I mean, have you seen the movie Gods of Egypt? It's where Gerard Butler plays an Egyptian god. Gerard effing Butler. Don't get me wrong, I like Gerard Butler as much as the next guy. But Egyptian, he is not. And so, and then what do people do? They immediately, they try to make excuses for it. Well, Egyptians were actually fairly light-skinned, so, it's okay for people from Northern Europe to play those parts. It's really all right. No, it's not. If you're going to complain that they switched character around in a fictional world, then it's not okay for them to switch people around in the real world. So I'm going to make that argument. And it's been going on for a very, very long time. And for whatever reason, Hollywood has been constantly doing this all the way back to the Cecil B. DeMille's epic pictures, where the only black Africans were the people in the background. But for some reason, all the main character Africans were amazingly light-skinned. So it's like, if you watch the Ten Commandments, it's hilarious. And so, but the problem there is, so it's not about, well, if they did it the other way, there'd be so much backlash. Not really. It's just that because it happens all the time. So, but what we need to do is stop pointing the finger, and that's the tribalism right there. And I'm not trying to pick on you, Valor, but let's stop that, all right, and just say, okay, let's talk about it. Okay, why is it that they did this? I don't know, but do the people who produce the Netflix series, do they understand that? Do they genuinely understand it? Because here's the problem. Your initial comment on it, let me go back and see if I can find it. All right. You said, and I quote, "The Witcher TV series was all about race swapping for political reasons." How do you know that? Are you saying that and I don't know. I mean, maybe you saw some behind the scenes thing where the producer of the show was, they said that everybody from this town is supposed to be white, but screw that noise, we need representation. Maybe that's out there. I haven't seen it. Or are you saying that you're just making that assumption? Because it is entirely possible that the director, the producers, the casting agents, the people involved at Netflix that made this show did not know that there is lore behind this particular region and why people look like the way they do on this show. And there are also, perhaps, and I don't know, where did this come from? Did it come from a mandate from Netflix? Does Netflix say, oh yeah, we'll fund your show. Just remember that our rules say that you have to have at least 10% of your cast has to be black and 6% of your black cast has to be other ethnic whatever or whatever. Do they have a rule like that they have to follow? Right? We don't know. So instead of just making those assumptions and then pointing the finger at the people and saying, you're bad because you made this show, can we try to open up a dialogue? Can we reach out with an open hand instead of trying to throw a punch at them? And that's my point, Valor, is that we need to change the way we're opening the conversation. And instead, and again, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just saying this is a good example. And so instead of saying, you changed everything for political reasons, we say, hey, why did you change this? Because it's entirely possible that the answer is, oh, was it supposed to be one particular way? We didn't know. Because you know what happens a lot of the times is when people start screaming and yelling, what's the response? Oh, well, if it was supposed to be one specific way in the game, we were unaware of that. And Dr. Alex says, I didn't get very far into The Witcher either. Also had strong feelings of, okay, felt a lot like a computer game. Well, it is a computer game. Aberdeen says, Andrew, I can grab a flag anytime I like here, and nobody will bat an eyelid. My question is, should I be scolded for doing the same in your country? I can grab a flag anytime I like here, and nobody will bat... I don't even know what that means. Well, it says I was talking about the books and the games. Right, I understand, but do they know that lore? And before you say, well, they should know it, yeah, sure, they should, doesn't mean they do. How can you have black Polish people, though? I agree with you, but having black people in Poland is as stupid as white Egyptian gods, which we already mentioned them. I give all modern TV movie entertainment equal chance, but not watching any of them playing games instead. Dr. Alex says, very few people do look like the ancient Egyptians, of course. Well, that's true, but I'm pretty sure they don't look like Gerard Butler. Ensign Ricky says, the funny thing is that now all the black people on TikTok are giving Robert Downey Jr. a pass for using blackface on Tropic Thunder. They're like, he's the only one we will pass on. Well, although in fairness, in Tropic Thunder, he was playing a person who was intentionally, he was basically, it's not like they were playing a person who we knew he was wrong for doing it. I wonder what the millennial generation would think about Laurence Olivier's Othello. We talked about that a little bit on Dr. Alex's live stream. You should go back and watch Dr. Alex's live stream about it. No one is liking my humor today. That's okay. Nobody likes me any day. Mercer's in the house, says, hi, how you doing? Valor says, I don't like character color washing at all. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's been happening as long as Hollywood has existed. Pan says, I'd be interested in how they depict the ancient Mesopotamian pantheon because a lot of them are depicted with pale skin and gold hair to depict their difference from the mortals. I don't know. Ensign Ricky says they're like he did such a great job, almost perfect. Oh, now trend on the talk. Well, I don't spend any time on TikTok, Ensign Ricky, so yeah, take that for what it is. TikTok is kind of the Karoga of social media. I can speak to motivation. I can't speak to motivation, but the Witcher books gave explicit descriptions to main characters, and they are all white, Northern European. It's written as faux European history. I get that, Aberjam, but what makes you think that the producers of the Witcher Netflix series read the Witcher books? You see what I'm saying? Valor says, yes, they do know why. Wait a second. Yes, they do know why, as the woman behind the show did in fact say what. Yes, they do know why, as the woman behind the show did in fact say that and was doing it for political reasons. Okay, well, then don't watch the show. That's my answer. If you have absolute proof that they did it for political reasons, then don't watch it. That would be my answer. And here's the thing. And you should also not watch Star Wars, and you should also not watch anything produced by anybody ever again. Because guess what? That's Hollywood. I'm sorry. I know that sounds horrible, but the truth is, Valor, that you're gonna, if diversity offends you, don't watch anything produced by Hollywood. because they're going to diversify. I didn't say grab a flag. You added a letter. Oh, did I? I didn't. It looked like you said flag. But if you could you say that in the United States? No, but that's not a term we use. You know what? If you walk into a restaurant and you say, yes, I'd like some chips, guess what? You're going to get potato chips. That's an American product. You're not going to get French fries. Trusted says, getting Star Wars movie title wrong. Didn't think I just lost a ton of nerd cred. I think I just lost a ton of nerd cred. Yeah, that was pretty bad. So they're destroying someone else's... Bird's talking to... so she knew about the history of the books. Well, like I said, then if they were doing it just to diversify the cast because they needed representation. Now, there's a few possibilities. It could have come from Netflix because Netflix wants to make sure that they have a certain percentage of people of different ethnicities, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the excuse is, if you find that too egregious to watch the show, then don't watch the show. I mean, honestly, that's the only answer. And I know that sounds, unfair and maybe even simplistic, but that's what you gotta make that choice. If you are a purist on The Witcher and you feel that it is not worth watching if they don't make everybody white, then don't watch it. And if enough people do that, they'll stop producing it. And then maybe they'll try to make it again in the future and they'll do it correctly. Doubt it, but maybe. But the truth is that, you know what, right now, Hollywood doesn't give a crap about the idea. They're not going to produce something that's for white people. Not going to happen. They will produce things that are for a general audience, and they will produce things that are for ethnic-specific groups. But they're not going to produce anything for white people. And if you have a show that has a white protagonist and in an adventure in an area that is populated entirely by white people, I ain't going to do that. I mean, look at freaking Thor. They made Asgardians Asian and black. Let's see. Dr. Alex says, the ancient world of which Egypt and Carthage were part would be the fairest to think as all Mediterranean civilizations. Scotland is pretty far from that, of course. Well, yeah. Robert says, well, Darth Vader was played by a white and black man, so if done right, diversity can work very well. Well, that's true, but Darth Vader was like the first transracial character. Valor says, the books came first, the games take place after the books, they stayed faithful to the books. Really, the books came before the games? I didn't know that. But I never played the games. Watched the first season of the show. I don't care about the second season. I just didn't find it compelling. I mean, it wasn't bad, don't get me wrong. I watched it all the way through the season. But I'm not excited about it. And Ensign Ricky says, Star Trek should do a mirror universe where the Klingons make first contact with Earth instead of the Vulcans. Well, they already established that in the mirror universe, the Vulcans land and Zephyrin Cochrane attacks the Vulcans. They did that already. CD says, I stopped watching TV 20 years ago because I tried to turn everything into a soap opera, made a dreadful viewing. Well, I don't remember that happening, but let me see, 20 years ago, that would have been around the year 2000. So yeah, I stopped. Wow, I'm old. Thank you. So you personally adhere to a newer definition of the word FAG, but refuse to accept the newer use of woke consistently? No. You see, here's the problem, Aberjam. I live in the United States. I don't live in the UK. if you use that term, because that's the UK, like I said, chips doesn't mean the same thing. And please don't use that word in the chat. Use chips, okay? We can talk about chips because that's another word that means different things in the UK versus the US. All right? And so, and my son tends to use UK terms because he likes the way that the UK English flows better than American English. And sometimes it gets confusing because my son will say, I'm going to go check the post instead of I'm going to go get the mail, which is what an American would say. And so if you go to a restaurant in the United States and say, I would like some chips, that's not the same thing. The only time in America we use the chips the way that the English do is if you're ordering fish and chips. However, that particular term has never in the United States been used for a cigarette, to the best of my knowledge. In fact, the only time I've ever heard that term used for a cigarette is in watching old British television. That's it. So if you in Britain want to use that term for a cigarette, that's fine. I don't know if it's still acceptable there. However, in the United States, it is a term that's used for people who are, homosexual. I don't know if it is for, assume it is for people in Great Britain as well. And that's how the word has changed universally. As far as woke is concerned, woke ain't your word to change. And the problem here is, and this is the stupid thing about it, is that so you have a group of people that came up with the term woke, and then and this is the irony of it, is that the same people that have taken the term woke and now are using it they've redefined woke to mean something that it doesn't mean, are the same people that deny that co-opting even happens, which is kind of ironic. Diversity doesn't bother me. Changing the main character is what I have an issue with. They want diversity, should come up with their own characters. Changing main characters is what I have an issue. Yeah, okay. And Bird says, yes, yes, yes. For some reason. Yitza says, hello, check Twitter. I have a semi-important message. I see that, Yitza. I haven't read it yet, but I do see it there. I will check it. Valor says, there's African-like countries in the Witcher universe, and they have a crap ton to pick from. They're just lazy and talentless. Well, Valor, I think that calling them talentless is a bit of a stretch. And you see, and here's the problem with what you're saying. And by the way, biscuits, yeah, that's a hilarious one too. Is biscuits in America is not we call them cookies, not biscuits. Anyway, but you see, but this is the problem, Valerie. So we get angry, we get emotional about it, right? Because we don't like what they did to The Witcher. And so then we start getting vindictive about what we say. And so you say that they're lazy and talentless. No, that because first of all, the show is not incompetently made. To argue that they are lazy and talentless would mean that the show was incompetently made and horribly done. No, it's just not 100% accurate to the source material. Lazy and talentless, well then why are you watching the show at all? Lazy and talentless would indicate that the show was crap. And the show's not crap. Even though it's not my cup of tea entirely, it's not a badly made show. So now you're just going down the personal insult route. That's your tribalism showing, because you're just saying, oh, well, because you didn't do it the way I wanted you to, you are a bad person. Wrong answer, Valor. You need to check yourself on that. I hope you see what I'm saying here. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I want you to see what you're doing here. Average M says, a wonderful Hollywood double standard, almost entirely black cast for Black Panther makes good sense, but almost entirely white cast as a Nordic race is problematic. Yeah, that is a Hollywood problem. Valor says, I haven't been to the movies for 10 years. I'm sorry. You should go. They're fun. And let's see. Mercer says, Mad Magazine in the 70s used the word chips, but that's not a word in... but that's not a word in their New Hope satire. Okay? Why does he like British lingo so much? Oh, that's a long story. Dr. Alex says, Antitrek is constantly shamed by his son eating crisps. Chips is not a term I'm familiar with for cigarettes in the UK. No. I know. The word that we're talking about, though, is a word that's not socially acceptable, Dr. Alex. So I was just saying, let's use a different word so we don't have to say that word on the live stream over and over. Average Jam says, the F word predates the colonization of America and was brought over with you and commonly for a bundle of sticks. It only became a slur in the last 100 years. Yeah, I understand the word's origins and that it meant a bundle of sticks. But in the United States, to the best of my knowledge, it never evolved into a term for a cigarette. Or at least in the modern vernacular, it never was. And so that was a British thing. In the United States, they just called them a cigarette or a smoke. But, yeah. I learned a few things about British to English, like fanny are the same as butt. Yeah. Sticks were used to burn them alive like witches. Odd connection there, yeah. Malfi says, going to sleep. Bye. I hope you forced Matthew to watch Double Dragon, one of the worst video game movies. I don't think I've ever seen Double Dragon. You know, that's the thing. I wish Matthew, and I understand he's only got limited time, but I would love to do movie night every week with him because I'd love to do like whole themes of movies. Like I think it would be fun to do like every superhero movie, every video game movie, stuff like that. But there's no way to get through a bunch of movies if we're doing it every other week. Let's see. Mercer says, I was talking about the F word was in Mad. Oh, yeah, I vaguely remember that. Back in the day, Mad Magazine would have the F word in there every now and then. Cigarette is an off word if you think about it too much. Well, actually, no, it's a cigarette, meaning a small cigar. Cigarette. That F word is also a type of meatball in the UK. Really? I got his name, and the name for cigarette is only 3 letters dropping. Let's see. And the name for cigarette is only 3 letters from dropping the got from the end. What? And the name for cigarette is only 3 letters dropping the got from the end. Cigarette got? What? Dr. Alex, you lost me there. I've seen 2 episodes and stopped after that. All they did was take the story and change the character color, and there is the scrotum armor. Therefore, at the very least, I don't think you, Valor. Look, I watched the first season. If you honestly look, that show may be a lot of things, but lazy, I don't think is the right word. you might think that, because, I mean, the plot may be borrowed from, I don't know if it's from one of the books or one of the games, but that what you would expect, because it's based on the books and the games. I mean, it's an adaptation. I mean, it's funny because, Captain America Civil War is based on the Marvel comic book Civil War. So what are you going to say? It's lazy because they borrowed elements from the source material? No, the F word didn't evolve into a term for Siggies, but it did evolve into a slur. The point is that the meaning changed in the States, just as woke is changing. But no, you don't, Aberjam, you're not listening. I understand that you don't want to listen, but you're not listening. But you adhere to one of the, But you adhere to one of the changes not there. This is the easiest crossword puzzle ever. Wow, I don't even know, Dr. Alex. Yeah, no idea what you're talking about there. And Michael says, is he talking about The Witcher? I liked it. Did not mind the half Indian actress being cast. Here, the original character was super hot, though. And scrotum armor. Yeah, no idea what he's talking about there. So, Haberjam. And I know you get this way sometimes, but let me try to sum it up for you. You're talking about a term that changed over hundreds of years. And, I mean, because I don't know of anybody that when they hear that word thinks of a bundle of sticks anymore. And even in the UK, I don't know of it, I don't know how long it's been since it was, at least the last reference that I know of that I've seen where they referred to it as a cigarette was at least 40 or 50 years old. So I don't know how long ago that was. In the United States, I know that using that term as a reference for someone who had that particular sexual preference has been going on since at least the 1960s. I assume that's the case in the UK as well. And so those two meanings were kind of going hand in hand. Probably because of the fact that you're taking a shaft-shaped item and putting it in your mouth. It would kind of make sense that that's where the term actually came from. Now, eventually, over those 50 years or so, that became the dominant term. So we're talking about a long period of time, right? I think you would agree with that. The term woke was invented, 15, 20 years ago, tops? And the Phantom Menace has tried to co-opt it over the last, 5, 10 years? So, no, this is BS. This is co-opting. This isn't simply, oh, look, it's naturally evolving. And it's a term that was created by and used by one specific, it's kind of ironic because it's actually being used by one specific ethnic group about that specific ethnic group and been co-opted by a different group about a different group. And you want to defend it for whatever reason as if it's perfectly okay to just take away what they're trying to do and ignore the fact that they're trying to improve their community. And instead, let's make it about freaking Star Wars and Admiral Purple Hair Holdo. No, it's not okay. I'm sorry, it's not okay to sit there and start screaming woke, woke, woke about everything and turn it into freaking feminism. Because you know what? We already have a word for feminism, and it's called feminism. Even though feminism itself doesn't even mean feminism anymore. It's more like female, It's not even feminine. I mean, why is it that feminism, there's no feminine in feminism? But hey, that's a whole other problem. Let's see. Robert says, well, just look how terrible the Knight Rider reboot was. Don't even get me started. Mercer says, I'm sick of the idea of some group wanting to be offended, and they're waiting for someone to say something wrong so they can act offended to have the high ground. It sucks. Well, that's the problem. That's where this tribalism problem, we're all doing it. Everybody's doing it. Look, the Phantom Menace is doing it with movies like Black Widow. They're all, they're all like waiting for someone to, who was it? IndieWire put out that stupid review about how, oh, yay, we got a strong female character. And all of a sudden there's 750 videos put out by the Phantom Menace, because they're just waiting to be offended by this crap. They love it. So they can get the clicks. They can get the views. Dr. Alex says, take the full form of the F word you were talking about, which is 6 letters, drop the last 3. That's the term for cigarette. Alternative, take flag and drop the I. Or drop the L. Yes. I understand that. The Simpsons made a bundle of sticks reference in the episode where Martin used the F word. Well, they're probably talking about... what's the term for a Krogan bundle of sticks? Oh, yeah, a bird, right? Valor says, only based on the books, CDPR owns the game rights, so Netflix can't touch them. It wouldn't have been a big deal if she hadn't said that she was going to be faithful to the books. Well, I don't know if she was faithful to the books as far as the story or not. But, people say that, look, I don't know how important the actual skin color is to the story. I don't know, because I didn't read any of the books. But if that's the most important thing to you, I don't know what to tell you, Valor. It's, the problem is that Hollywood is they're not gonna, you're not gonna get an all-white movie. It's never gonna happen again. CDJ says, Phantom Menace do get clicks and rage bait from politically correct entertainment, so they'll keep on going until the buck stops flowing. I agree. Val says, you are saying people can take over the word woke if it's done slowly like the F word was done? No, I'm not saying they can. They already have. Look, they've taken over the word woke. I don't like it, but they have. And it sickens me. That's my point. And I'm going to keep railing on it because honestly, I think most of the people that are screaming woke, woke, woke all the time have no idea that what they're doing is incorrect. I think they're just ignorant. And so I'm going to keep pointing out the fact that they're wrong. But that doesn't change the fact that woke doesn't mean feminism. And in fact, woke doesn't mean agenda, but whatever. So woke basically means being aware of social injustices and not just sitting idly by and turning a blind eye to it. But the problem is that we want to just ignore that and just let people scream, oh, everything's woke, 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 and it bothers me. It really does. Aberjam says, not defending one terminology or the other. I'm just observing our use and evolution and grammar and our relationship to it. Interested in your motives for adhering to one change and not the other. Because one change is a natural, at least to me, it seems like the world has changed from the original use of the F word being, because guess what? People generally don't walk around with bundles of sticks anymore. All right? that usage of the word is outdated and unnecessary. So, so the change of that usage of the word is no longer necessary. The evolution of the word is natural and organic. I don't particularly like it being used as a slur, but whatever, and some people don't even find it as a slur, even people that, fall into that particular category. However, the other is a co-option of what's the right, I don't know, whatever the word is, co-opting of a term. And I don't appreciate that. That's it. That's the difference. What is a grouping of fire logs called? Don't know. Is there a term for that? A stack? A cord. A cord. I mean, when I was a kid, I would stack a cord of wood, which was I don't remember what the measurement of a cord of wood was, but I remember stacking wood, and I would always have to stack like a cord of wood at a time. But then again, I worked on a ranch, so yeah. It seems that fast and nefarious change of a term makes it illegitimate, yet the F slur occurred in much the same way, but we adhere to it. Well, it was an archaic term that was no longer necessary. Fed says you have to admit that the particular word becoming a slur, if very peculiar one, you wouldn't think that naturally. Yeah, it is kind of well, like I said, I think that the reason is because the initial change from a bundle of sticks to the British term for a cigarette, it's taking a shaft-shaped object and sticking it in your mouth, and I think that's where the connection came from. And so that's my best guess. I don't know if that's the truth, but that's what I would guess. Wonder what the I can never pronounce that word. The etymology of the word meaning bundle of sticks becoming used for something else. Weird. Yeah, it is weird, but I don't know. I'll give you another one that's weird. Soggy biscuit. Funny you should say that. Soggy biscuit was my stripper name back in the day. No. I don't know. Richie Poole says, good morning. How you doing, Richie? Yes, I used to do pole dancing as Soggy Biscuit back in the day. Those were hard days back then. Do you think the Spanish language should be changed due to their callous usage of the word for blacks? They are so outdated. Well, Dr. Alex, I don't speak Spanish, so I could not tell you. And the Fed said, it means circle, not going to finish that one. How do you get your head back to normal size after you experience with the magic wand? That was a tough one, Robert. Had to just constantly hold my breath and, just keep doing that over and over and over. It wasn't Limp Biscuit, apparently not. Cigarettes became F's here because they look like a bundle of small sticks. Putting them in your mouth with nothing to do. No, I'm saying putting it in your mouth is why it went from, the F word went from cigarette to derogatory term for a person with that sexual persuasion. I guess Andy Trigger was better dancer back in the Soggy Biscuit days. Yes, I think so. Can I scratch my fanny in the chat? You can. Now, see, this might be where the slur came from. That's what I was saying. That's all I was saying. Dr. Alex says, oh, shame, Andy Trigger. It's one of the main languages. It's one of the main languages spoken. That doesn't mean I speak it. Tribalism, I think it's natural. Humans can only manage about 150 real relationships anyway, so it reduces the desire for most people. It is a natural, but the problem is it is a natural human condition to be somewhat tribal, but natural doesn't mean good, and we got to be careful about that. That's actually, it's an interesting point, Michael. is, and this is something we do way too much, is we tend to equate natural with good. And it's really something that annoys me because, we say, oh, all natural ingredients. We say, well, that must mean it's all good, right? We'll say, oh, look, this soap is all natural, which means it's all good. Look, snake venom is all natural. Cyanide is all natural. There are lots of things that are all natural. It doesn't mean they're good. It just means they're natural. And so, and the same thing happens like when we argue about theological things, and people say, well, it's only natural that they want to do this. Well, natural doesn't mean good. So I don't care if it's this person's natural inclination is to kill people because they're a psychopath. That doesn't mean it's a good thing for them to kill people. It just means that's the natural thing for them to do. Bird of Prey 5's natural inclination is to eat orphans. That doesn't mean it's a good thing. It just means that's the natural thing for him to do. And so we have to be very careful to stop pretending that natural and good means the same thing. Sorry. Small tirade. Aberjam says, if F went from Siggy to slur because Stiggy in your mouth, that implies at some point F actually did refer to Siggy's in the States. Not necessarily. I'm just saying that I think that it could be that people said, hey, F means cigarettes in Great Britain. It's kind of funny since they look like that. Hey, maybe that, and somebody came up with the idea of using it for that type of person. Fed says your video froze. It seems to be working on my side. Try refreshing your screen, Fed. Or better yet, I think the problem is, Fed, you need to put in a $100 super chat. That'll fix it. I'm pretty sure that'll fix it, yeah. Yeah, $100 super chat fixes all video problems. Speaking of, I'm going to wrap up in a minute, but before I go, I do want to tell you guys one thing that I am working on the planning stages of, hopefully later this week. And refresh your screen, Michael, because again, on mine, it looks like everything is hunky-dory as far as the video. But I want you to see this. This is a really disgusting-looking package. But I have here a package of Carolina Reaper cheese balls. These are 2.2 million Scoville unit cheese balls. They look horrifying. And we also have right here, of course, the little nitro that was gifted to me by Darren Wagner, the gummy bear that's at, I think, 8 million Scoville. And I also have ordered a 13 million Scoville chocolate bar called Satan's Pleasure. And so why all this craziness? Well, I'll be completely honest with you. I mentioned this at the beginning of this live stream, but 100% true. Look, we're in a lot of trouble as far as with the medical bills and stuff. Things have gotten really, really tight. And so as it is, we still owe the hospital like $700+ for the last surgery. And we don't know how we're going to pay the mortgage this month. So we're trying like heck to try and raise some money to pay these bills and to pay the mortgage. So later this week, hopefully we're going to do a marathon live stream. And so we'll be doing, for Super Chats, I will be eating these horrifying confections. And just for fun, to make things even better, at least during parts of the live streams, I will be joined by none other than LDG Pixels, who is in the process of getting these same confections for himself, so that when he's on, yes, it'll cost a little extra, but you'll pay a little extra and we'll split the difference, and he'll be eating these horrifying things along with me. And so the idea is that we're going to try to raise money to pay bills. So the idea is to pay for my medical bills by sending me right back to the hospital, I think. So that's the idea. And I got to say, I'm going to be sending a lot of props to, and I'll definitely be putting out his website during the live stream, for the guy that makes the chocolate, because he's a really nice guy. He actually called me after I placed my order, just to make sure that he was going to ship it to me at a good time, because he didn't want the chocolate to melt during shipping. And so, really nice guy. I'll talk about that a couple of times during the live stream. So that's something that to look forward to this week. Yeah, these cheese balls, it actually says the hottest balls you will ever put in your mouth. So, and I wish I could get these close enough to the camera so you could see them. These balls look horrible. They absolutely look horrifying. But yeah. Whew. And Indie Tiger, thank you so much. Starts this episode with $50. So Indie Tiger, you know what? You remind me, and I owe you at least a cheese ball, my friend. So I truly appreciate it. Once I'm not going to break open the seal yet, but when I do the live stream later this week, I owe you, buddy. You get dealer's choice on anything except not this. This is going to be like a. This is I don't know what the price tag on this is going to be yet, but that's going to be expensive. And when so the idea though, and don't worry, you guys, I'm not asking you to super chat right now, because it's the live stream is going to probably be at least 24 to 48 hours long. Because I want to make sure that everybody in every time zone around the world that watches me has a chance to participate if they want to. Because I know I have people in the United States and in the UK, and even a few people in Asia, and obviously people in Australia, like Fed's here right now. And so I want to make sure that people from all around get a chance to participate as they see fit. But Fed said to hold up, so I'll wait because he wants to say something. So I'll wait for you, buddy. Valor says, Satan's pleasure, but your displeasure on the way out. Well, actually, funny thing about that, because you remember I did do. And by the way, Dr. Alex, you'll be welcome to join the live stream while we're doing that too, because I'm going to have a few guests hopefully coming in and out through the live stream, just to hang out, or else I'll completely run out of steam. So if you have some time during the mega stream, I'd love to have you come on. We can talk. Oh, Dr. Alex, I don't know if you'd be up to it, but one thing that I would love to do with you sometime is I want to watch the movie 2012 with you. I really want to watch the movie 2012 with you. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it will break your brain as far as science is concerned. It's so bad. Just to kind of have you, Dr. Alex, have you seen 2012? I'll start with that, and then I'll tell you a couple of the scientific facts of this movie. But that was the movie that me and Matthew watched last Friday. And 2012 was so bad that Life with Matthew's brain broke from the science. Okay, so the movie starts out with them saying that neutrinos have started to mutate and have melted the Earth's core. That's how the movie starts. And then it goes downhill from there. The movie is so bad, and I'm not making this up, because I sent this to Matthew, because he was honestly, it just absolutely blew his mind. This is a direct quote. The science is so bad in 2012 that NASA named it the most absurd science fiction film ever made, and that it was an exceptional and extraordinary case of bad movie science. So I was thinking, and I don't know if Matthew would be able to stomach watching it again, but I would love to do this. It would be fun to have you sit in while we watched it together, and like every time something really bad. Yeah, that's absolutely true, Michael. It's hilarious to watch because the stuff that happens in this movie is so ridiculously unrealistic. And it's just hilarious to see. So, like, when various things happen, we can ask you, okay, what's the possibility of this actually happening? So, for example, if the Yellowstone supervolcano explodes, and they show this happen in the movie, where it looks like the Tsar Bomba going off, and this guy is standing on a mountaintop overlooking it, and it looks like he's pretty darn close to it, but he's not vaporized by it. And I'm like, how is he still alive? And so I want to be able to ask an actual physicist about that. So Fed said, yeah, this should help a bit. Yeah, I think it'd be fun, but I got to see if Matthew's willing. I don't know if he'd be willing to suffer through it again. And I was thinking, man, it would be great if I could find a geologist. Oh, hey, babe, I told you you're not allowed to talk to Dr. Alex. I did tell you that. Now, Armageddon is silly, but not at that level. Oh, and Fed says, check your tip jar. Oh, okay. Let me see here. I got... Helps if I have my windows open, because I was just checking... Oh, man, Fed. Thank you so much, my friend. I truly, truly appreciate it. I don't even know what to say, buddy. That was... You did not need to do that. But I will tell you what. Just so for that, I will officially dub the Little Nitro the Fed Doc Little Nitro. So when we finish the live stream, the mega live stream, this we will consume in your honor. So for those of you that don't know, Fed Doc just dropped a $500 donation. That will definitely go a long ways towards helping to pay those bills. I do truly appreciate it. And I mean, that's half the mortgage payment. So I truly, truly appreciate that, man. So that will cover this for sure. Knocking stuff on the floor. But yeah, so when we finish the live stream, Fed, this is dedicated to you. I gotta put a post-it on it to remind me of that, or else I will forget. But that, man, you did not need to do that. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Fed. I don't know what to say. I got the best friends on the frickin' planet. The only reason I'm mentioning this now is I was not trying to drum up some tips right now. I was just wanting to make sure I tell you guys so that if you're free later this week when all the supplies are here, you'll show up and hopefully, if you have a few bucks, throw some in for See Me Suffer. And I will tell you, I do want to, because here's the thing, LDG was talking all sorts of smack about me before, and so I'm looking forward to going head-to-head with him with these 2 million Scoville cheese balls. I want to see, I want to see if he can wolf these down as well as I can. So we'll see in a few days. And I know, Fed, you've been generous to me before, and I know you're just that kind of guy, and I appreciate it. But I do truly appreciate it. I think it's just, you're just a crazy Aussie. That's all it is. And so No, but you see, you had to do it when Mrs. Antitrekker was here. Now it won't be a surprise to her. And Dreamer's out there says, you eat that gummy, they might be doing a new surgery on your head. You know, the funny thing is, because like I told Mrs. Antitrekker about my plans, and she's like, you just got out of the hospital, right? Let's see, this should cover, thank you, Joseph puts in a couple of euros, this should cover the lid on a Starbucks coffee. Yeah, that's about right. That is about right. Mrs. Antitrekker was yelling at me because it's like, yeah, you just get out of the hospital, now you're going to eat this stuff. Because I did just have, surgery on my digestive system with the gallbladder surgery. But I did assure her that, remember, the gallbladder is not about spicy foods. It's about fatty foods. That's what your gallbladder deals with. And so I will be keeping supplies of ice cream and antacids and stuff like that. If I do feel like, things are really bad, because I did go through this before. If I think things are out of control or something, I will tap out. I'm not gonna do anything stupid. But yeah. Fed says, keep in mind part of it that so the Mrs. Antitrekker doesn't come beg for our blood, because I remind you the last time you did this. Don't eat the weird stuff. No, I'm not doing. I'm not doing the bugs this time. Just doing the hot stuff. And yeah, Mrs. Antitrekker there. Hey, Dr. Alex, I did not give you permission to talk to Mrs. Antitrekker. And yeah, you need to stop doing Fox videos, Dr. Alex. Anyway, so what we're gonna do when we do the hot foods, it shouldn't, like, your gallbladder's not really affected by that, and so that shouldn't be a problem. If I do feel like I'm actually having any kind of serious issue, I'll call it quits. I'm not gonna just like Matthew did when we did the 1 chip challenge. I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna push myself too far. But I think that it'll be fun, especially with LDG helping out, because you guys know we love to talk smack to each other. So when he comes on, sure, he'll get some of the he'll get half the money when we're both doing it. But it'll be fun nonetheless, because, hey, it's LDG. Oh, man, you were hoping for the candies? Oh, those jelly beans were, oh. But, those are only, I'll tell you, Fed, I would be willing, I'll talk to Matthew about it. I'd be willing to do the jelly beans again, only if Matthew joins me for that. Like, I would do that as a special deal if Matthew comes on, because that's how that was fun. Like watching Matthew suffer through the sour milk jelly beans. Because I don't want Matthew to do the hot foods because of what happened to him with the 1 chip, but I would love to watch him suffer through the jelly beans. So I'll talk to him about that. If he's willing, I'll do that, but only when he's on. And so I'll reach out to him today and see if he's willing. Aberdeen says, you really want to suffer for your art, you should film yourself watching an entire bed live stream. Oh, I have my limits, Aberjam. I have my limits. And babe, I told you, don't make me block you, man. I'm gonna have to have. All right, I'm gonna have to have a serious talk with my wife now. All right, so with that, I'm going to wrap it up because I do need to check out the message from Yitza, and I also need to arrange a time to talk to PJ. So thank you again, Fed. I truly, I can't thank you enough, my friend. Thank you to all of you. Indy, thank you again for your generosity. And hopefully, guys, I know that we'll have some fun later this week. Well, you will. I will probably be suffering. And Aberjam, I'll see what I can do to try and get you some boobs. I don't know what I'll be able to do for you though, because YouTube, you know, they don't generally allow boobs. But in the meantime, get that on camera. Live long and prosper and all that good stuff.